All right, let's talk about something we've all felt. You spend hours, maybe even days, getting your resume just right. You finally hit that submit button and then crickets. Just total silence. It feels like your application just vanished into a digital black hole, right?
You start to wonder, did a real person even see this thing? Well, here's the tough truth. Chances are no. Not at first, anyway. Before any human hiring manager lays eyes on your resume, it's got to get past a gatekeeper. And trust me, this gatekeeper is not a person. So what is this gatekeeper? Well, say hello to the Applicant Tracking System, or ATS for short. Honestly, the best way to think of it is like a robot recruiter. It's this automated software that just churns through hundreds, sometimes thousands of resumes. It's not reading for style or nuance, it's just scanning for keywords and the perfect formatting. And if your resume doesn't check all the right, very specific boxes, poof, it gets tossed out. No second chances, no close enough. It's pretty much the biggest and most frustrating hurdle in the job hunt today.
So if you're up against these robot recruiters, the big question is, how in the world do you beat them? Well, this is where things get interesting. A whole new generation of AI-powered tools is popping up, designed specifically to hack the system. And to see how they work, we're going to take a look at a really cool example called Infinite Resume.
Okay, so what's their big promise? It's pretty wild. They claim you can build a resume that actually gets you hired in just 5 minutes. And the kicker? For free. Now, in an industry that's notorious for hidden fees and subscription traps, a claim like that, well, it's seriously bold. You almost have to wonder if there's a catch. So how does a tool like this actually pull it off? You know, it's not just some fancy template where you fill in the blanks. Think of it more like your own personal AI-powered ghostwriter. It's got some really clever tools under the hood. So let's unpack exactly what gives you that edge against the ATS robots.
First up, they've got this feature called Prompt to Resume, and honestly, it's a lifesaver. You know that feeling when you're just staring at a blank document, totally paralyzed? This thing is designed to kill that problem. You don't need to stress about finding the perfect corporate jargon. Nope, you just describe your background, your jobs, whatever, in plain, simple English, and then the AI just takes over. It transforms your words into a polished, professional resume that's built from the ground up to be ATS-friendly. And you can download it right then and there. It's pretty amazing.
And look, this isn't just some marketing gimmick. Check this out. A data scientist from PhonePe, a guy named Rahul Verma, he used it and called it pure magic. He literally just typed out his experience in plain text, and the AI built the whole professional resume for him. I mean, that's the real power here, right? Taking your own words and turning them into a document that can actually land you a job.
Okay, but what if you already have a resume? This is where their next feature comes in, the AI Resume Doctor. So picture this. You upload the resume you've been using, and it spits back a score. And that score is a 45. Ouch. That's a big, fat failing grade. What that number really means is that the robot recruiters are taking one look and tossing your resume straight into the digital trash. It's never even getting a chance.
But then you let the AI doctor work its magic. It doesn't just say, this is bad. It gives you specific, easy-to-follow feedback. And here's a real-world example. Arjun Patel, a product manager at CRED, did exactly this. He took the AI suggestions, made the changes, and just look at what he says. His score skyrocketed from that sad 45 all the way up to a 92. That's a massive leap.
And that score, that 92, really shows you what's possible here. A score like that doesn't just mean you squeaked past the robot gatekeeper. No, it means your resume is flying to the top of the pile for an actual human to review. That single jump in score is literally the difference between your phone ringing for an interview and getting completely ignored.
So you're probably wondering, how is this score even calculated? Is it some kind of dark magic? Not really. It's actually surprisingly simple. The ATS is programmed to give you points for good stuff, like using the right keywords from the job description and strong action verbs, but it also subtracts points for things that confuse it, like fancy tables, weird fonts, or any kind of complicated formatting. The AI doctor just knows these rules inside and out. It helps you pack in more of the good stuff and get rid of all the bad stuff. Simple as that.
Okay, the tech is obviously super impressive, but you know what might be even more disruptive? The business model. Seriously, this is where a tool like Infinite Resume really throws a wrench in the whole system with something they call the free forever gambit.
So let's just take a look at how things usually work in this space. Most resume builders, they lure you in with a trial to subscription model. It's like, hey, just $1 or $2 to try it out. But then, buried in the fine print, you're auto-enrolled in a super expensive monthly plan. It feels pretty predatory, right? Well, the free forever model just flips that whole script.
The core stuff you actually need is always free. No trial period, no need to pull out your credit card just to get started. It's a totally different philosophy.
And I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at this table. The numbers lay it out in stark black and white. You've got competitors like Zety and Resume.io charging you almost $30 a month after a tiny trial fee. And Infinite Resume's core features? $0. That's not just a little cheaper, that completely changes the game. It's built on a really simple idea. You shouldn't have to pay money just to apply for a job.
And believe me, people are noticing. Here's a quote from Anya Krishnan, a marketing lead at Meesho. She nails it when she says it's actually free. Think about that. No hidden charges sneaking onto your credit card bill. No ugly watermarks plastered all over the professional templates basically holding your resume hostage. This kind of transparency, it builds a ton of trust with users right out of the gate.
Look, a free tool that actually works this well is a huge deal on its own. But you have to ask, why now? Why is the market so hungry for this kind of change at this exact moment? Well, to understand that, we have to zoom out a bit. It turns out there's a bigger story here. A story about broken promises that has left a lot of people feeling pretty cynical.
For the last few years, we've seen the rise of these super expensive coding boot camps and other training programs. And their big selling point was always the job guarantee. The pitch was simple. Pay us thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, and we promise you'll land a great job. But when the job market started getting tougher, that promise started to look pretty empty, and a whole lot of people lost faith.
So what happened? Well, to avoid having to give refunds, a lot of these programs created these completely insane requirements. We're talking things like you had to apply to 40 jobs every single week. You had to do daily check-ins just to prove you were trying. And this is the worst part. They could count any job that paid more than $250 a week as a successful tech career placement. It was a total setup. And this whole system just left job seekers feeling completely burned and desperately looking for tools that would actually empower them instead of just, exploiting them.
But okay, here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. Because once everyone starts using these amazing AI tools to create flawless resumes, a brand new problem pops up. And this is what people are starting to call the authenticity paradox.
So we have to ask ourselves a new question. Can a resume actually be too perfect? Think about it. Recruiters are smart. They're starting to see a flood of these perfectly polished, jargon-stuffed resumes, and they're getting skeptical. They know these things feel like they were written by a robot because, well, a lot of them were. The goalposts have suddenly shifted all over again.
So what are the human recruiters looking for now in this new world? It all comes down to one word: authenticity. They want to see your real, quantifiable impact. They're looking for signs of your unique personality, maybe some personal interests, volunteering, social contributions, anything that gives them a sense of the actual person behind the paper. So now the challenge isn't just about beating the robot anymore, it's also about connecting with the human on the other side.
And that brings us to the big, final question for the future. As we keep moving forward, what exactly is the role of these incredibly powerful AI tools? Are they meant to be our co-pilots, helping us tell our own authentic story a little bit better? Or are they in danger of becoming our ghostwriters, creating a perfect, polished, but ultimately soulless version of who we are? Finding that balance, well, that's the new challenge for every single one of us out there looking for a job.